What's up, everybody? Thomas here with Thunderbolt Films. And yes, it is in fact that time again. I'm going to talk about what it was like working at Walmart. Yeah, it was a little sooner than I and probably you expected if you watched the last working at video. But yeah, I'll explain more about that in a bit. So recently I left my job at Walmart for various reasons that I'll get into throughout this video. And now I am currently, as of right now, as I'm recording this, I'm between jobs. But on this past Wednesday, as you're seeing this, I will have signed all of the paperwork I needed to start my next job at Meijer, which is ironically just across the street from Walmart, which is weird. All these stores are close together. So like I did with the working at Big Lots and working at Wendy's videos, which I'll leave links to in the description and at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about what it was like working there, how I got the job, and the pros and cons of that job. So basically how I got the job is I was working at Big Lots and was not making enough money. I wasn't getting enough or consistent hours or scheduling or anything. And at the time I was looking for a new job. And I've been applying to a few places, I can't quite remember. And one of the places was Walmart. And I know a lot of people that do work there. Ryan, in fact, still works there. And a number of other of my friends have and do work there. So I thought, yeah, that'd be okay. And I know it'd definitely pay more. So I put in an application, and I wanted, like, you know, stocking or electronics or somewhere in that area. So, but actually, and I mentioned this in my Big Lots video, I said that they had actually called me while I was still working there. Obviously, because, I hadn't been hired there yet. But they actually called me during a shift. So, and I remember I took out my phone and I saw it, and I'm just like, obviously I didn't know who was calling me. But I had to actually go behind something. It was like a little rack where we have like, for like beds and stuff. But I had to go so I went behind there and answered it. I was like, hello? So, and it was one of the managers there. One of the assistant managers, actually. And calling me and asking, at first they asked me if I wanted to work in the deli, doing that kind of stuff. And I turned it down because to me that reminds me too much of working at Wendy's or in fast food. And I already did that, and I know I just couldn't do that. So then the manager asked me if I would like to work in the meat department. You don't cut it, you don't do anything. All you gotta do is, because it comes packaged to them, all you have to do is, label it and put it on the shelves. And I thought, yeah, okay, that'd be good. Because I really needed a new job and I needed to start making more money, especially since, I'm going to college and I'm paying for it out of my own pocket. Big Lots and, $7.65 an hour just wasn't going to cut it. So basically the hiring process, I set up an interview. I went in, shook the manager's hand, and answered some questions, and then they told me about the pay I was making, or the amount I would get paid, which I'll talk more about in a minute. But it was more than what I was making at Big Lots. So and I was pretty sure of that, or I was pretty happy with that. And I was hoping I would, get the job. So, shook the manager's hand, showed us some ID, signed some availability paperwork and everything. And then I left, and then I waited for another interview, or waited for another phone call. So, and it was about the Wednesday, if I remember correctly, the Wednesday before I left Big Lots, actually. So I got the phone call saying to set up orientation. It would be for Tuesday the 6th. And actually, to backtrack to the Big Lots video, my last day at Big Lots was June 3rd, actually, 3 days prior to my first day. Or actually, it was June 3rd, yeah. So I gave my notice at Big Lots. June 3rd was my last day, and June 6th was when I started. So orientation's a little interesting. You go in around 9 a.m., it goes from around 9 to 4, 9 to 5, or something like that. You go in, and it's usually a class where there's like multiple people. I think we had one of the larger classes that they did. I think there was like maybe about 8 or 9 people. I can't really remember. Which ironically, I don't think most of those people work there now. So I think only just a couple of them do. So, you know, they were pretty cool. A couple of them a few of them actually I went to high school with, and that I knew, so that was cool. And at around 8 or 9 a.m. we were introduced into the morning meetings, which those are interesting, which, well, I'm gonna play this. It wasn't quite that ridiculous, but close. So we did that, and then we all introduced ourselves, and, you know, then we were all assigned to, you know, get to know each other, because, you know, it is a working environment. You're going to be with these people for quite a while out of your day, and, you know, so you might as well, you know, just get to know them, which is fine. And then after that, we were given our shirts. And then we were given our vests, you know, the old classic Wal-Mart vests, which, by the way, I have right here. There's the logo, and there's a little pin. I'll talk about that. You know, the proud Wal-Mart associate. And here is my name badge. There's a little hole for it on the other side. So yeah, there's the name badge and everything. So, and that barcode was how you clocked in. You slide it and everything. So we did that, and then we toured the building and, you know, the whole back room and everything, which was kind of cool. I never actually had been back there. I guess that's one of the things about retail. One of the kind of cool things about retail, you can go places you always wanted to go to as a kid. Or at least I did. So I always wanted to know what was back there, how big was it. So, but yeah, we went out there, and we went into the freezers, and I was introduced to the coolers, and that's where I met one of my co-workers that still works there now, which was I won't say his name, but he was a cool guy and everything. So you know, it was good to meet him and, you know, everything. So, and I'll talk more about that old department in a bit. So now we'll talk about the pros of working there. So first thing was the discount. Now, even though it was less than Big Lots I got 20% off on most things. At Walmart, it's only 10%, and actually, they give us these little discount cards, actually. So I'm not gonna hold it up close or anything. So yeah, the discount was good. They said it didn't work on food, but I don't know. I would always get food or, you know, grocery stuff and everything, and I would use it, and it would take not a lot amount. I mean, it's only 10%, but it would take, you know, a certain amount off. So one thing it didn't work on was alcohol. That was what I found out when I bought my first 6-pack after I turned 21. So that was interesting. So the other big pro was the pay. I got paid $10.90 an hour, and that was because I had almost 2 years of retail experience at the time. So, and I know it wasn't, you know, a huge amount of money, but it was still way more than what I was making at Big Lots, and you know, it was enough for me to be able to pay off my tuition payments. Another big pro was the relatively consistent hours. At Big Lots, the big problem there is that you hardly got hours, or really inconsistent hours. Sometimes you get, like, I don't know, say 25, 26-hour weeks, you know, part-time, and other times you would get, you know, at most 12 to 16 hours a week. So yeah, and you also got your schedule 2 to 3 weeks in advance, which was also good, because another thing at Big Lots, you know, because, you know, at Big Lots we got our schedules the Saturday before. So I've talked about the good stuff. Now let's talk about the cons of working at Walmart, for me at least. So one of the things was the management. It was less than stellar, but one thing is they seem to care a little too much about the customer, and a lot less about the associates, which I'll get more into in a bit. And don't get me wrong, I do understand the customers, you know, should always. Now, I do understand the customers are a valuable part to any retailer, because, you know, if without them, they wouldn't be there. So I highly believe in that. But, you know, I'm a very yin and yang type of person. I think there should be a balance between the customer and associate, which that will come into a big key player as to why I left, which I'll talk more about in a bit. Another thing, a lot of them were just kind of incompetent. There we have these scanner things. They're kind of like cell phones. We call them, they were called TC70s and MC40s. So they use scan tools and everything. We also have what we call them Telzons. They're like trigger scanners. You've probably seen them, and we also had printers that connected to those devices that we would use for labeling and other stuff like that. And, you know, in order to power those, you need batteries. Well, one day they just decided how it was set up. You know, the batteries were most of the batteries were in one specific location. You know, by this office and everything outside, you can easily get to them and, you know, unplug and take them whatever you need, and then off you go. Well, as of I would say about a couple weeks ago, they started to hide the batteries in an office, or they would lock them away and everything. And also, for the scan tools, we put them in these like little lockers. You lock them away. You scan your badge. You know, enter the number that corresponds with the device you want, and then you take it out. Well, actually, they restricted those, you know, to only the department managers. But oftentimes, and especially in my case, the department managers would not be there, you know, because mostly they would work in the mornings and everything, and I was mostly in the afternoon. And especially on days where I was alone, which did happen quite frequently, you know, in the last couple of weeks I worked there, I had to really, it really slowed us down. If in fact, I had to go because the meat department manager kept his badge in the cooler, in one of the coolers, which I'll explain more. So I actually grabbed his badge and I went and swiped and got all the tools that I needed. So that was pretty freaking ridiculous. And in regards to the batteries, in order to get to them, because they were in an office locked away, so you couldn't get to them, only the managers with a key could get to them. Which was freaking ridiculous, because that just slows us down. Do they not realize that that is a huge waste of time? We don't have time, we can't waste our time to go hunt down a manager, which was very hard to do, by the way. We can't waste our time to go run up and down the back room and around the store to hunt down a manager just to open the door, get a battery, sign it out, and then go back to work. That's a huge waste of time, and if they're expecting us to meet all these demands, like, you know, there were certain time frames where we had to be, you know, pretty up to date in terms of the wall and the stocking and everything, especially with the meat department by like 5:30 and other designated times. You know, why and how do they expect us to meet that? Because they just don't get it, because that's a huge waste of time. And it did happen to me. You know, one instance where I was alone and they restricted all that stuff to us. You know, I couldn't get any, so I had to just, you know, sweep up around the rest of the area. And, you know, I couldn't do anything. You know, I just had to just kind of stand around and, you know, do anything. But eventually, it was around 6 o'clock, you know, and I, you know, had worked till 10, and I had to just kind of improvise. That's when I grabbed, you know, the department manager's badge and, you know, checked out everything I needed. You know, because we were falling behind, and, you know, there was a lot of holes in the wall. You know, that's, you know, stuff we didn't have on the wall. And, you know, so I had to pretty much rush to get everything back up on the wall, you know, within an hour. In addition to this, it was also pretty boring, you know. You know, it got pretty tedious, you know, not as tedious or boring as, like, you know, Wendy's or Big Lots, but, you know, it was still pretty dreadful, you know. You know, having to do all this stuff and everything, but, you know, having to, you know, scan the stuff you needed and, you know, do everything. Though I will admit, time moved pretty fast, so I can't really complain there most of the time, not all the time. So another thing is, I didn't really like the department I worked in, you know, for a lot of reasons, actually. You know, not only just, you know, the management there that ran that place, but also the, you know, the incompetence and everything. But just the environment. I don't like the cold. I just don't like it, especially, well, I mean, now here in Indiana, it's getting colder. But, at least most jobs, you're inside a store and you can escape it. But in the meat department, no, not really. You're pretty much trapped in this 35 or 30, 40 degree cooler all day, or your entire shift, however long it is. And, that really sucked. So, I mean, actually, now that I think about it, there was one instance where the meat department manager, he talked to me and my other coworker. So, and he basically chewed us out, for doing very minimal things wrong, minimal errors. And, and I'm pretty much okay with taking responsibility for something I do wrong. I don't have a problem doing that. But, it's just the tone this guy had. He was not, a very, understanding type of person. And I remember the other guy was talking to him, trying to, explain some things and, trying to, help him understand some things. Because, there were things he didn't get. And, he was looking at him like he wasn't even listening to him. And, he was looking at him like, what are you talking about? I'm right, you're wrong. Like, and, that's just how he was like, he's probably the most annoying out of all the other managers. So, and the most irritating to work around. So, and any chance he could lecture somebody, he would do it. So, yeah, I didn't like that. That's one aspect I just didn't like. And there was another, and I can remember another instance where we would do. Another instance I remember. This happened about a month ago. I was working, and the meat department was there. This is a night we were doing inventory, and he was there. And he had heard that I was looking to transfer to another department in the store at the time. So then I'm just like, yeah. So I'm just like, and he was just like, good. Like, that's how he said it, like, good. Expand your horizon, expand your knowledge in the store. That's literally what he said. And that, I was kind of miffed by that, because from the tone of it, it sounded like he was saying, good, I don't want you here. So, yeah, and I mean, I have no proof of that, but it's like, that's just how it came off to me. I'm just like, So, and I had actually wanted to transfer departments. I really wanted to go to electronics, because that's where Ryan works, and, that's where, I just feel better there, and, get away from that area. I opened up you can open up your career preference, that's what it was called, to other departments. You can open up to, I opened up to toys, electronics, hardware, and sporting goods. I opened up to all that. Never got anything. And, I tried, talking to some people, see what I could do about transferring there, And then I found out that they were implementing a new policy, amongst all the other things. And this pretty much ties everything together into the explanation as to why I quit. Basically, I found out they were introducing this customer first policy, where basically the scheduling is, instead of being done by the management, which is how it should be, is being handled by some other higher authority. Probably by a computer. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. But basically what that entails is if you do not have a fully open schedule, your hours will be cut. So, and just to give you guys some perspective, I can't open my schedule any more than it already is, because, I'm pretty much, I'm up to the wire, man, with doing films and video, classes, college, and everything else. I can't open it up any more than I have right now. So, and in fact, I actually tried to cut back on, my weekends and everything, because, it was getting a little grueling for me, and that was around the time where I really wanted to quit and find something else to do. But it was just, it was just hard. I just couldn't do it anymore. So, and they actually, when I wanted to get like weekends off and work Monday through Friday, but they said they couldn't honor that because of the customer first thing. And with this thing, I was mostly working, on Monday through Friday. Thursdays were my set days off and will be at my next job. But I was working, my availability was like 4 to like 10 p.m. And it would always be like 4 to 9 or 5:30 to 10. Only a few times was it 4 to 10, my full availability for some reason. So, yeah, it was just, it was just crazy. So when I found out that they were going to do that, I just said, that was the nail in the coffin for me. Like, I could tolerate all of the bullshit, which there was a lot of. I could tolerate the bullshit, I could tolerate the management, I could tolerate, all the other cons that I just mentioned. But as soon as they started saying they were going to cut my hours, that was it. Because, the lack of hours were the reasons I left Big Lots. Because, so if they were going to do that, then, what am I still doing here? I can't keep doing this. So at that point, once I heard that, I started looking for other jobs. So I put in a couple applications. I put in a couple applications at Meijer, actually, a few actually, I think. And I put it into some other places. Like, I thought about going back to selling furniture. That didn't really work out. But so then I actually ended up finally getting a call from Meijer. So that was pretty exciting. And I set up an interview. Everything, had the interview, had 2 interviews, one day after the other, and it worked out pretty well. And so yeah, as of this past Wednesday, as you guys are watching it, I will have filled out all the paperwork and hopefully have gone through orientation by then. So yeah, that was a good thing. And it's also much more organized there, so which I really appreciate. So one thing, one of the store director that I was interviewed by said that she noted how unorganized Walmart was, and I was just like, yeah. And so that's pretty much it. So I'm excited for the future. So things have been kind of up and down in my life as of this year. Some of you that know me personally, but I'm still excited for the future. I'm still keeping my head up. So and I'm taking action. One of the things I felt at Walmart, I felt out of control. And one thing, especially now that I'm 21, I felt like I'm not in control of my life, especially when I was there at Walmart. But now that I've quit and I've taken the job, I've taken control of myself, and I feel great about that. I'm very proud of that I'm able to finally gain some control over my life. So. And hopefully to gain more, and going to gain more as I go on. So I'm happy with where things are going. So and hope to keep it going like that in the future. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm happy with where things are gonna go. So, and that concludes the working at Walmart video. So wow, I can't believe I did. I can't believe I've done 3 of these actually. So it's insane. So where life takes you. So but yeah, guys, so that's about it. Thanks for watching. If you want to check out the other working at videos, I'll leave a link on screen and in the description. And make sure to follow me on Twitter, ThunderBolt1, like the Facebook page, Thunderbolt Films, follow me on Instagram, TheThunderBolt, subscribe to the Thunderbolt Vlogs /Extras channel, and make sure to head off to ThunderBoltFilms.club for more website exclusive content. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.